10 lobster pots in the ocean.
It's a common resource. You could put 10 in the ocean, and there are 14,500 of those licenses in Massachusetts right now. The information, a lot of the information on the resource gets lost on the way down. A lot are very conscientious. They do know they need a gauge. They may not know that much about a V-notching and stuff. They do know that if there are eggs on the outside, I'm assuming most of these people. So the education factor on that is critical to get it out.
And they could get it from your organization.
Yes, they could get it. Well, the Division of Marine Fisheries or the Massachusetts Lobstermen's Association, and there are fines. The Massachusetts Environmental Police are very active on the water, checking on gauges, on the markings and everything else. Further, we have to have escape vents. We have to make sure that our gear, our buoys, fall into certain legal requirements. As far as the paint patterns on a buoy, that's up to the individual lobsterman.
Did you paint that yourself?
These are my colors here. What you do is you could choose any color you wanted, any pattern you wanted. Anybody could. What you don't want to do is have the same thing that somebody else might have. So you try to avoid that. And for us, the buoys are branded. We have a state identification number that is branded right onto our buoys, that is marked on our buoys. We also have to have a tag that is inserted in the trap that corresponds to the number on the buoy. So our buoy and our trap all have to correspond to me. My license restricts me to making sure that it is me that's on the water that is going to harvest these lobsters. Massachusetts also is one of the only state that has become 100% compliant with whale-safe regulations. Now, to explain this a little bit, people are always concerned about the great whales. Massachusetts waters between Cape Cod Bay, which has a critical habitat area, and Stellwagen Bank National Marine Sanctuary just off of Massachusetts waters in the Gulf of Maine, are one of the major areas in the transition of whales and the feeding of whales from the spawning and breeding areas from the Bay of Fundy area to Florida. Of these whales, the one that is the most critical is the northern right whale. The northern right whale, endangered, the most endangered of all the endangered whales, is at a point of approximately 400 of these. At any given time, we could have 30% or 40% of those whales in Massachusetts waters in certain months of the year. In order to avoid interaction with these whales, the government has placed restrictions, and conservation groups have asked if the commercial fishermen couldn't comply. Well, Massachusetts was the first and only state to go to 100% whale safe. One of the things we have done is on our lines that attach buoys, we have these breakaways right here. We have a line that if this were caught in the baleen of a whale feeding and it came up, it would break away at 500 pounds right here. Between this and this link right here, this would all break away at 500 pounds. Well, to a 40-ton whale, that's like a mosquito bite. We go further in the fact that to show that if it did happen to get caught in a whale, this is lobster gear. We have to mark our rope with a red tracer in the middle to show that this was lobster gear. So we have all of this, which shows the gear that has been now made whale safe. Traps themselves are fished in two manners. One is the fact that there may be one trap, one buoy that goes to a single pot on the bottom, or they could go to a trawl, what is in a sequence, that traps would go down and there'd be one trap attached to another trap, attached to another trap, and so on. These vary in length from 4 or 5 traps to 20 traps in a row. On part of our program to comply with whale safe,
Massachusetts lobstermen, traditionally lobstermen have fished a floating rope, a polypropylene rope that would come up, rise up off the bottom between traps. So we would have a buoy, a line, and traps in order with this floating rope. Whales would dive down, could conceivably get caught in this. We have gone to where all our rope is on the bottom sinking. This was at a cost of an average of $10,000 to a fisherman in Massachusetts. So between the breakaway and the sinking ground lines, Massachusetts is the only state that now all our gear is 100% safe. We want to promote this to the public to let them know that lobsters that are harvested in Massachusetts waters are not just from a sustainable fishery, a manageable resource, but are also fitting into this whale safe.
All right, we have a couple more clips here.
Oh, yes.
One of them is going to be on the banding, which I found fascinating because I didn't know how you did this.
Oh, yeah, whales. Whales don't come up, lobsters don't come up with those little handcuffs on them. We have to put them on.
There you are, on the beautiful sunny day.
Right.
Why don't we take that clip off, because I wanted to get to the next clip, which has to be set up in the control room, but it has to be on the trawling.
All right, that is just showing and demonstrating a trawl, the lines that, the way a trawl would go off of a vessel using the sinking ground line. Here it is here. Just again, that little red porthole on there is the escape vent. That part right there lets all the sublegal lobsters go out. We mark our trawls in a particular way. I can explain in a minute. You can see the last one as the trap goes off.
And this is basically, can be dangerous, can it
This
not?
can be. The ropes and everything else. And today, with the economy and the way it is in the fishing industry, a lot of fishermen now are going alone. I fish alone. And you have to be very careful. You've got all this rope going, and there's a lot of weight pulling these off now as more go off the vessel, that if you were tangled, you always have a knife handy, but fishing alone can be dangerous. And a lot of lobstermen now have foregone taking a helper on board the boat. So they have passed up that in deference to the costs, and at the same time maybe making short changes on the amount of repairs that they make on a vessel and things of that nature.
And you can see where the line goes down to the bottom.
Right, it sinks to the bottom, yeah. And then that buoy right there is a double buoy, and for people that go out on the water and they're out bottom fishing, a lot of times they'll see a buoy like this in the water and see another one at a distance and figure there's a trap here and there may be one there. If this buoy has a flag on it and the other buoy are two in sequence, there are probably lobster pots between them. That's a trawl. We mark that so that the lobstermen themselves know that another man has, or a lobster man or woman, we have lobstermen, that have traps in between. And as a result, we will, they'll go get caught on it with their fishing jigs.
Yeah, well, we're down to less than a minute, and I still love lobster. Unfortunately, the prices are so high still in the restaurants and so forth. You guys don't get the money.
No,
you got about 30 seconds.
Yeah, okay. Well, one of the things is we have a supply, and the world demand is down. As a result of the world demand being down, our price paid to the lobstermen is very low. The off vessel, if you have an opportunity, I'll tell you this, if you have an opportunity to buy lobsters from a lobster boat direct, that's your best deal.
Yeah.
Rather than all the steps that go between the lobster boat and the restaurant. The lobsterman gets paid the least, the restaurant gets the most.
That's the way it is in the world, isn't it?
It certainly is.
The Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Mass Lobstermen Association, Dave Casoni, thanks so much for being here today.
Mr. Briggs, I appreciate it.
And that's another edition of Meet Marshfield. And until next time, make it a good day.